planet. It's something about this planet.
Xenoblade Chronicles. Are you ready? Here we go! Xenoblade Chronicles 1, X, and 2 for the Nintendo. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Wormys Playhouse, and today we're going to be talking about the Xenoblade Chronicles series by Monolith Soft for Nintendo. This series originally released on the Nintendo Wii, and this game received a lot of praise, especially on the limited Nintendo Wii. Everyone praised this game for creating this massive open world concept game. Even though the game is very linear, the world is extremely massive and large. This game was very hard to come across. I remember it being sold for well over $100, and they didn't make enough copies of it, and I'm not quite too sure why, because this is an amazing JRPG. If you're looking for a JRPG on the Wii, this is the one you want to get. This is the one that gets all its praise. It's expansive, there's an amazing story. I think that's what they created the best about this series, are the stories. The story is so well, it fills you with energy and to be courageous, at the same time being very, very emotional. Something about Monolith Soft games in this series that it brings tears to your eyes. And the characters, you just really have a strong attachment for the characters that they put in these games, mainly because of the character growth and just the development they have. It's just well-written stories and characters for these games. Such an amazing series. And I remember when I put this game in, the opening title screen was so beautiful. It had the Monado sword just sitting in the open field with the wind and the clouds going by and a day to night scene going by. It was such an amazing feeling, just that opening title screen. And then once you get into the game, it just opens up in such an impactful way. It's very action-based while still being able to bring that emotion. I think that's what is so great about these series, is just having that emotion. It really fills you with nostalgia, and this is a new series. As you continue to play, they just keep bringing more and more story that just keeps driving you in further and further, and you want to know more. And I remember when they announced Xenoblade Chronicles X for the Nintendo Wii U. Now this was a spiritual successor to Xenoblade Chronicles. This was more along that style of a somewhat MMO RPG. However, it wasn't online. I think they wanted it to be an actual online MMO RPG. But being that the Nintendo Wii U somewhat failed, because it very much has that MMO RPG feel to it, except just single player, which I love because I very much love single player games, and you know, single player games are still good. Keep making them. They managed to take Xenoblade Chronicles and really expand upon it. They really opened up the world, made it much more massive. There are these swooping landscapes that are expansive, and the enemies and monsters that you fight against are just enormous. They were large in Xenoblade, but they're just ginormous in this game. Now Xenoblade X, you don't follow a linear story. There's not a main character. You actually create your own character, which at first it kind of put me off. I remember getting into this game at first, and it was such a massive game. It's so large and long that I kind of put it down for a little while. And then I was like, let me get back into it and see what it's all about, because it was getting a lot of hype and praise for it. So I finally jumped back into it, started over, created a brand new character, and it really pulled me in. I think they really perfected the small amount of story in this game is what they perfected. I know it's not a story-based game. It's a spiritual successor. This is very story-based. This is just pretty much open. It's not very story-driven at all. But they do throw in clips of a little bit of story just to give you that drive and motivation. And that is what is impactful, because it had such a unique and interesting story to it. I was very drawn by this game. The music in these games are just so beautiful, especially the first one. And Xenoblade X has that music that has that build-up. It builds up as it goes to something beautiful. And the game isn't perfect. There are some things that they do wrong. However, what they do right, I think, is the amazing part about it. The best part about this game. I mean, this game really took the genre to new worlds, you know, a whole new alien world and life forms, colonizing a new planet. There's a lot of story that you have to unfold yourself, or you'll just miss out. And maybe that's where people can't get into it. And there are some other things, like trying to find your characters. If you wanted to swap between characters, you had to go out and hunt them. Even though they're a part of your group, you still have to go out and hunt them down in the city, and it was just so massive. This game makes you feel courageous. It doesn't hit you emotionally as much as the first one, but it makes you feel powerful. They really know how to bring everything together in these series towards the end of the game, and it's very impactful. Oh, and when you get the mech suits, the best part of the game, because usually you're running around across these massive landscapes, and it takes you quite a long time to get from one end to the other. But boy, you get into this huge metal mech suit, and you get to just fly across the landscapes and reach new peaks and mountaintops that you were never able to before, and find new enemies and monsters to battle. It's such an amazing feeling. This awesome music plays when you get into that mech suit and you just take off, and you could just waste time flying around and just viewing the whole game from a different perspective. It was the best part about this game. I know the creators have hinted about there being a sequel to this game, because this is where it gets confusing. I know it's all one series, but technically it's two different series, because there's the Xenoblade Chronicles series, and then there's the X series, which is the spiritual successor, which then the Nintendo Switch releases. And within the first year, on December 1st, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is released. And this game had a lot of build-up for me. I was so excited. I think everyone was, because we all really wanted more of the first one. Everything about this game is just perfection to me for a JRPG. But they really knocked it out of the park. It's not full 1080 HD. It's, you know, Nintendo Switch's 900 HD, which I'm fine because it looks amazing. Because instead of being on an actual planet like X, it brings it back to the Titans in Xenoblade Chronicles. However, all the worlds are on individual Titans. All the characters in this game really bring it home for me. I love the characters in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Every one I really have a strong attachment towards. I really feel like a strong connection with them all. Oh, talk about emotional, this game is very emotional. But from start to finish, it really has such a strong build-up, especially when the music kicks in. The music, I think they really perfected it. The fact that you can have those mixed feelings, emotional and courageous, it really has that build-up and drives you in. Brand new game, and I already have nostalgia for this game. That's how you know a game series is doing it right. The battle system in this game. I have to talk about the battle system, because that's one of the biggest parts of this series. This battle system in Xenoblade, it had a very new and original battle system. It had like these art styles down below that you could pick from, and depending on which one you pick, it does a certain attack or defense. And that really drew me in, and then you would connect with your characters and do a chain attack and different combos. And X kind of built on the original, however, it was a little bit more confusing. It was very in-depth, I have to say. If you mastered it, it was amazing, but it was very difficult to understand. But Xenoblade Chronicles 2 perfected it. As you progressed through the game, you unlocked more and more features. All the way to the very end, you were unlocking new abilities. It just really perfected the battle system, and it's definitely my favorite. By the end, I had it down to a science. If a game can make a grown man cry, you know they're doing it right. You know this game is going to be amazing. Which is what gives you that strong attachment and nostalgia for it. It's like an immediate nostalgia. I think that's what's really great about the series. You know, most of my favorite game series, like Phantasy Star, Ys, they're older games from when I was a child. They just have that nostalgia feeling for me, you know? They're what I grew up with. And being able to introduce a brand new series to me and immediately become one of my favorites and bring in all that nostalgia is such an amazing feeling to have. It means that they are really doing it right with this series. I really like Rex. I love Pyra. Nia is one of my favorites. Poppy, oh, I love Poppy. She is so funny. I have to talk about the Nopons real quick. The Nopon in 2, Tora, I think they really perfected. He's still got that annoying characteristics, but much more toned down, and he's just a very strong tank. If you need a tank character, he's the best. He just held the aggro for you. I tried using other characters. I tried using Zeke, because he's, you know, a fan favorite. Just, for some reason, Tora just really held the aggro for me. And I think it's because of Poppy, because you can upgrade Poppy because she's like a blade that he built. So I made her a strong tank and able to hold that aggro for me. No matter which one you enjoy the best, you know, whether you enjoyed playing as Shulk, or you enjoyed playing as a character that you got to create yourself, or you liked Rex, Pyra, Mira, Poppy, Zeke, all my favorites. Such a strong attachment that I was able to have for these characters. Very impactful and emotional, and I'm really looking forward to their future series. And real quick, here's my Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Switch Pro controller. I love this controller. And it's a very beautiful controller. It's modeled after Pyra, who's, again, one of my favorite characters. I know I'm going on about it, so I think that's where we're going to end today's episode. So thank you for joining us today for another episode of Wormy Playhouse. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And stay tuned to my ending sequence. There are some spoilers in it, but I tried to edit it up with the music and not spoil too much. It's part of the ending sequence of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, so just be warned, but I do recommend watching it because it is very beautiful. So stay tuned.